Well, there you go. And from the Tory point of view, it's historic. I mean, they're kind of old fashioned Etonian. They're still living the British Empire. They're still hanging out with the royal family. This kind of amazingly all white group of people who take probably more out of the British system than every unemployed household put together. I mean, the amount of property they have. I mean, God knows what their bedroom tax bill should be like. So, I mean, you've got all this, and this is all against a yes vote. I mean, you've got the BBC, who apparently are trying to be impartial, but every time I see a panel, it's at least 3 or 4 no's to 1 yes. It doesn't seem impartial to me.
No, I don't get that feeling either. But I do get the feeling sometimes that the BBC at least believes that it's being impartial, but they're not quite aware.
They do. No, they do believe that. In fact, I've got a good friend who's one of the music DJs, and he told me they'd had a really serious kind of sit down and talk about it, and like to be very careful about what they say and all this kind of thing. And maybe they do, but in fact, the BBC's great. That was the first scare story. If Scotland declares independence, you'll have to pay for the iPlayer. And I'm just thinking to myself, I mean, am I in Bizarro Land? We already pay for the iPlayer. This is just crazy. Do people not think that the television license is a bill? Yeah, am I the only guy paying this bill?
Yeah. Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to get Britpop.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, British music will no longer be British. Or my Joy Division records are suddenly going to be singing in German or something. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, no more Happy Mondays.
Well, I have to say, I wish they would stick to those comical scare stories rather than the ones that people actually believe. The one about the pound.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just baseless. It's also a threat. It's an actual threat on Scotland. If we declare independence, you can no longer use this currency that you've been using for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, why that didn't get people's backs up, and it was quite stomach churning to see all the Labour campaigners getting behind that and seeming really gleeful that this Tory chancellor's come up and threatened Scotland. It made me quite angry, to be honest.
It's like begging to the Imperial Master, oh, please don't.
Yeah. I know, it's crazy.
I suppose we should finish up soon, but just to go back to where we sort of started, which was kind of cultural figures in this debate. There's been things like National Collective, and they've had their problems lately, but what do you think that, writers, artists, musicians, how can they help to increase the yes vote? It's a difficult question, I know.
I guess I think that the most important thing people in the arts can do is by just letting people know that it's okay to be pro-independence. I think that maybe if this had happened 5-10 years ago, people would have been quite squeamish about it. I had a great discussion with a guy I was DJing with the other night, and he was basically saying, I'm not voting yes because I'm a nationalist, I'm voting yes because I'm a socialist. And it's actually moved away from any real kind of nationalism. In fact, the only nationalism I see are the little Union Jack people, and it's British nationalism. I think that the independence movement is not about nationalism. It's about self-determination, and it's about living in a fairer country. But sorry, going back to the people in the arts, I think that the role is to let people know that it's okay. If you get your kind of Frankie Boyles and Lemmy and Rab Florence and all these people, they're people that everyone knows who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Your Irvine Welsh, Annie Lennox, all these people, everyone knows who they are. I mean, they're not strange people. I mean, maybe they're a little bit strange in their own way, but they're people that people understand that they're people of intelligence. They're not going to just decide they're going to do something with no thought of the consequence. I mean, there will be a consequence if Scotland becomes independent, but it's not going to be for the people of Scotland. It's going to be for Labour MPs and people sitting in the House of Lords, which is why they're the last people that anyone should listen to.
Exactly.
They are the last people. I mean, the kind of the rantings and ravings of these people is just incredible. And another real impression I get from the debate, which I find a little bit depressing, but I'm not surprised by, is that there are a lot of Labour activists who've had a very bad time at the polls in the last few years from the SNP, and there's a bloodlust of inflicting some kind of electoral damage on them via a no vote. And I think that they're blind, and there are a lot of people who politically would be much more inclined to vote yes and deliver a socialist Scotland that are just wildly campaigning for a no vote just because they want to wipe the smile off Alex Salmond's face. And I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but this debate's bigger than that. It's about more than one guy. It's about the whole country. It's about the country's future. And really, if that's why you're campaigning no, and I know a lot of people probably are, then you really need to take a look at yourself.
Okay, great. So just one last little thing, because when I started these podcasts, I had it in mind, two little shticks. The first one was that the guest gets to choose the tune, which you're going to do. And the second one was I meant to ask every person that I did this with, when we get independence, let's say when, not if, when we get independence, how are you going to celebrate? And then I asked it in the first episode and I just forgot, and then I stopped doing it. But I think you're the man with the guitar, so I'm going to bring it back, this question. And what do you think? UK Death Party, Kelvin Grove Park?
You know what? I think I'm just going to go and probably have a glass of champagne and just grin until I fall asleep. I think it, and I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen next year, but I'm very sure it's going to happen in my lifetime. But it is going to be it's going to be one of the only times, even though Scotland's a historic country and has created a lot of history, I think it'll be the only time probably in our lifetime that we're part of something that does create history.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I just think we should get that bandstand in Kelvin Grove Park fixed up and open for concerts again.
Oh, no, they are doing that. They're actually doing that. They kind of got a big grant. I think they're going to spend millions on that. It's definitely happening.
Good. You should do free gigs in there.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be done in time for next autumn.
Yeah. Okay, so Stuart, thanks very much. That's been brilliant. It was great to speak to you.
Thank you very much for talking to me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thanks very much, Stuart.
Well, there you go. That was Stuart Braithwaite, and that was our 50th episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now, if you'd like to help keep the project going, you can donate on my website, which is michaelgreenwell.wordpress.com, and the donate button's on the right. Just like to say thanks again to all our listeners and all the people that have helped, and for all that, I'll be back on Sunday at the usual time, or the usual area of time. Yeah, so the last thing is that the guest chooses the tune, as usual on this podcast, and here's what Stuart chose.